Today, we'll be reading a Dashiell Hammett story titled The Road Home. It was first published in the December 1922 issue of Black Mask magazine under the pseudonym Peter Collinson, and is a tale set on a river in the jungles of Myanmar, what's called Burma, in Southeast Asia. The story details the discussions and actions of our protagonists, Barnes, the murderer and thief, and Hagedorn, our detective, as they glide slowly downriver. Let us begin.
You're a fool to pass it up. You'll get just as much credit and reward for taking back proof of my death as you will for taking me back. And I got papers and stuff buried back near the Yukon border that you can have to back up your story. And if you needn't be afraid that I'll ever show up to spoil your play.
The gaunt man in faded khaki frowned with patient annoyance and looked away from the bloodshot brown eyes in front of him, over the teak side of the jahaz to where the wrinkled snout of a mugger broke the surface of the river. When the small crocodile submerged again, Hagedorn's gray eyes came back to the pleading ones before him, and he spoke wearily, as one who has been answering the same arguments again and again. I can't do it, Barnes. I left New York 2 years ago to get you, and for 2 years I've been in this damned country, here and in Yunnan, hunting you. I promised my people I'd stay until I found you, and I kept my word. Lord, man, with a touch of exasperation, after all I've gone through, you don't expect me to throw them down now that the job's as good as done.
The dark man in the garb of a native smiled, an oily, ingratiating smiled, and brushed away his captor's words with a wave of his hand. I ain't offering you a dinky couple of $1,000. I'm offering you your pick out of one of the richest gem beds in Asia. A bed that was hidden by Maryland when the British jumped the country. Come back up there with me and I'll show you rubies and sapphires and topazes that'll knock your eye out. All I'm asking you is to go back up there with me and take a look at 'em. If you don't like 'em, you'll still have me to take back to New York.
Hagedorn shook his head slowly. You're going back to New York with me. Maybe manhunting isn't the nicest trade in the world, but it's all the trade I've got. And this jewel bed of yours sounds phony to me. I can't blame you for not wanting to go back, but just the same, I'm taking you.
Barnes glared at the detective disgustedly. You're a fine chump, and it's costing me and you thousands of dollars. Hell! He spat over the side insultingly native-like and settled himself back on his corner of the split papoon butt mat. Hagedorn was looking past the lantern sail down the river, the beginning of the route to New York. Along with a mismal breeze was carrying the 50-foot boat with surprisingly speed. 4 more days, and they would be aboard a steamer for Raccoon, then another steamer for Calcutta. In the end, one to New York, home after 2 years.
2 years through an unknown country, pursuing what, until the very day of capture, had never been more than a vague shadow, through Yunnan and Burma, combing wilderness with microscopic thoroughness, a game of hide and seek up the rivers, over the hills and through the jungles, sometimes a year, sometimes 2 months, and then 6 behind his quarry, and now successfully home. Betty would be 15, quite a lady. Barnes edged forward and resumed his pleading with a whine creeping into his voice.
Say, Hagedorn, why don't you listen to reason? There ain't no sense in us losing all that money just for something that happened over 2 years ago. I didn't mean to kill that guy anyway. You know how it is. I was a kid and wild and foolish, but I wasn't mean. I got in with a bunch. Why, I thought of a holdup as a lark when we planned it, and then that messenger yelled, and I guess I was excited, and my gun went off the first thing I knew. I didn't go to kill him. It won't do him no good to take me back and hang me for it. The express company didn't lose any money. What do they want to hound me like this for? I've been trying to live it down.
The gaunt detective answered quietly enough, but what kindness there had been in his dry voice was gone now. I know, the old story. And the bruises on the Burmese woman you were living with sure show there's nothing mean about you. Cut it, Barnes, and make up your mind to face it. You and I are going back to New York.
The hell we are. Barnes goes slowly to his feet and back away a step. I just as leave.
Hagedorn's automatic came out a split second too late. His prisoner was over the side and swimming toward the bank. The detective caught up his rifle from the deck behind him and sprang to the rail. Barnes' head showed for a moment and then went down again to appear 20 feet nearer shore. Upstream, the man in the boat saw the blunt, wrinkled noses of 3 muggers moving toward the shore at a tangent that would intercept the fugitive. He leaned against the teak rail and summed up the situation. Looks like I'm not going to take him back alive after all, but my job's done. I can shoot him when he shows again, or I can let him alone and the muggers will get him.
Then the sudden but logical instinct to side with the member of his own species against enemies from another wiped out all other considerations and sent his rifle to his shoulder to throw a shower of bullets into the muggers. Barnes clambered up the bank of the river, waved his hand over his head without looking back, and plunged into the jungle. Hadorn turned to the bearded owner of the jazz house, who had come to his side and addressed him in his broke Burmese.
Put me ashore, Yunga Apamai, and wait, Thang, until I bring him Yuga Yuhe. The captain wagged his black beard protestingly. Mahawk! In the jungle here, Sahib, a man is as lev 20 men might find him in a week or a month. It may take 5 years. I cannot wait that long.
The gaunt white man gnawed at his lower lip, looked down the river, the road to New York.
2 years, he said aloud to himself. It took to find him when he didn't know I was hunting for him. Now? Oh, hell. It may take 5 years. I wonder about them jewels of his.
He turned to the boatman.
I go after him. You wait 3 hours, pointing over his head, until noon, ne aphomha. If I'm not back then, do not wait. Malotu thang twa. Ti?
The captain nodded. Okay. For 5 hours, the captain kept the Yazoo at anchor, and then, when the shadows of the trees on the west bank were creeping out into the river, he ordered the laden sail hoisted, and the teak craft vanished around a bend in the river.
Thank you for listening to this classic short story, read by Clyde and Mike at Broward County Library. Stop by and visit any one of our 38 library branches, or call us at 954-765-1560, or visit us online at broward.org/library to check out more of Dashiell Hammett's stories. Enduring characters he created would include Secret Agent X9, the Continental Op, a private investigator, Sam Spade, a private investigator, and Nick and Nora Charles, a witty, crime-solving married couple. Remember this quote by Hammett. "Who shot him?" I asked. The gray man scratched the back of his neck and said, "Somebody with a gun."
This title story is part of public domain and can be found for free on websites such as Project Gutenberg or Overdrive.